So you might notice that the title of this video is not Baruch Atah Hashem Part 8, which would have been the next one in the series. We're going to try an experiment instead, which is to, from time to time, make a video called Practical Interlude, where we set aside the text and then just talk about the experience of davening and saying brachos, and where we try to work on actually like putting what we learn into practice in a real transformative way. Okay, so first question we're going to take up is, how do I put what we're learning into practice? Okay, simple thing. How do I put what we're learning, meaning about brachos? So I know of three methods, okay? Method number one I call the doomed striver, okay? And this method would say, how do you put what we're learning into practice? You try, okay? Whenever you're saying the words, try thinking of the ideas. And if you can't tell from my tone, I think that is and from the title, The Doomed Striver, I think that is a horribly ineffective method, right? I think this is what the religious person naturally feels when they're trying to improve their kavanah. They learn a bunch of things, and then they just try to have them in mind when they daven. It never works, because we're distracted. Maybe we'll talk some other time why we get distracted. We are thinking about other things, we don't understand the ideas clearly, maybe. And so you end up with this effort that's doomed to fail, and then you start feeling guilty about not being able to do it. I don't advise that you use this method. I just wanted to call it out. Okay. Method number two is Rabbi Moskowitz's method, my Mishlei Rebbe. So his method in general, in life, in Mishlei, in Tefilah, in Tehillim, is don't try to change. Okay. Instead, just keep reviewing the ideas in order to get them clear. And if you keep on reviewing the ideas, eventually they will start to affect you automatically without you even trying. Now, I do agree that this works. I testify to that based on experience. However, there's a fundamental machlokus that I have with Rabbi Moskowitz, which is Rabbi Moskowitz thinks that this is the method you should use. I think that this method is good, but I think that there are things you can actively do to accelerate change. Okay, and this brings me to my third method, which is I call it conservation of kavanah, which is accept the fact that you're not going to have kavanah for most of tefillah, okay? You do have the ability to concentrate a little bit. So take that kavanah and deploy it skillfully and consistently in the same place every single time, and don't worry about trying to have kavanah for everything else. Okay, this method was inspired by something in the Rambam in the More Nevuchim. I'm not claiming that this is what the Rambam's talking about, but this is what led to this thought. In Chelik Gimel, chapter 51, he's talking about the way to attain the ultimate level of closeness with Hashem, and so he gives a practical regimen, and it starts off by saying, from here on I will begin to give you guidance with regard to the form of this training so that you should achieve this great end. The first thing that should cause your soul to hold fast onto is that while reading the Shema, you should empty your mind of everything and say thus. You should not content yourself with having intention while reciting the first verse of Shema and saying the first blessing. So, background here. Halakhically, the only part of Shema that you have to have a kavanah on is the first pasuk. And in Shemona Esrei, it's the first bracha. So the Rambam is saying, don't content yourself with the bare minimum, have kavanah for the whole thing. Okay, now check this out. When this has been carried out correctly, and it has been practiced consistently for years, then the next step is etc. And he goes on to the next step. So when I saw this, I was shocked. Okay, this, according to the Rambam, this is clearly a long-term project, and the Rambam is okay with you not trying to have kavanah and everything else, just working on the Shema for years, then moving on when you're ready. Okay, and that is what led to this idea of the conservation of kavanah. So I have homework for you now. Okay, a homework is to do an experiment. 3 steps. Okay, choose a bracha that you say once a day or once a week. When you're about to say the bracha, pause and mentally review the ideas we've learned in the series. Then say the bracha. Okay, I'm currently doing this with 2 daily brachos and 2 weekly brachos. The daily brachos are the first bracha I say in the morning, which is Elokai Neshama, and the last bracha I say when I go to sleep, which is Hamapiel. Is I stop, I think about all the ideas that I've learned from that, and then I say it with intention. And then the other weekly bracha I do this with is I do it for Friday night Kiddush, and for Shabbos morning Kiddush. I hold up my cup, and I pause, something about the action of holding an object. I pause, I run through the ideas in my mind. Baruch Atah Hashem means that Hashem is the source of all blessing. When we say brachos, we bring Hashem's good down to us. When we say a bracha, we should reflect on the fact that the good we're about to partake of is for the sake of Yedias Hashem. When we say atoh, we're referring to Hashem in the second person because his existence is manifest. We switch to the third person, etc. All the ideas. And again, it gets easier with practice. And then I say the bracha. So I say it for those 4 brachos, for the 2 each day and then the 2 on Shabbos, and I don't try to have kavanah for anything else, obviously except for the first pasuk of the Shema and the first bracha of the Shemona Esrei. Try this preferably with a bracha that you say on a regular basis. Like, it could be your first Asher Yatar in the morning. It could be your Hamotzi, that you say. Let me know how it goes, either in WhatsApp or in the comments or on other social media. I'm curious. Let's try this together, and we'll compare our results.